the rudder! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. Start converting your B2B audience today. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started today at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Take the shot. Right now is a very weird year, and every franchisor I talk to is like, you know, when the economy's bad, franchising does really well. When the economy's good, franchising does really well. This year is like the wild, wild west. Nobody knows. And so you only got one life to live. You should be doing what you love doing.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of Fran Coach's Franchising 101 podcast. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of Fran Coach and your podcast host. Today, we have a guest joining us from the franchising industry, except it is neither a franchisor nor a franchisee. It is what we call in the industry a supplier. And in fact, let me just kind of ask a question. What if I told you there was a company out there that did unbiased third-party surveys, rankings, and reports on both franchisee and employees of franchisors, did that on their satisfaction? Real data, not anything that a franchisor can manipulate. And all of the results are available, good or bad. All of the results are available to see for prospective franchisees. Well, there is such a company, and that is who our guest is. I'm incredibly excited to talk to this guest. But quick, before we get to them, quick reminder of who we are. Fran Coach is the premier franchise consulting firm. Our number one goal, never, ever has anything to do with selling you anything. It is all about education. We are here to properly educate you on franchise ownership so you can determine if it is the best fit for you. If so, we're going to figure out what is your absolute best franchise to own. This is not a one size fits all. You have to be incredibly selfish. We talked about that a few weeks ago. And this is the most individualized and personalized process. And our team at Fran Coach is going to take you through that. But now let's get to another great resource to help you figure all of this out. And that is our guest. All right. Now we are back and let's get to the good stuff. Our guest today is kind of like franchise royalty. And so I'm super excited and honored to have her. Our guest is Michelle Rowan, and Michelle is the president and COO of an amazing organization in franchising called Franchise Business Review. Michelle, thanks for joining us today.
I am so happy to be here. We finally met. We finally connected, Tim.
I know. It's just you and I joked about this a couple weeks ago. I think we were the only two people in franchising that weren't actually connected to each other, even though we all
That's
know
right.
all the
we
same
solved
people.
It.
Yes. So basically, our franchise mission is now accomplished. We can just call it good. But
we did it.
We're here.
All of franchising
we're here, so we
is
might as
now
well
connected.
Yes, we're here, so we might as well talk. But so thanks for coming on. And
absolutely,
I got a bunch of stuff because Franchise Business Review is, guess what? It's not a franchisor. You're not a franchisee, though you do know something about owning a business. But Franchise Business Review, this amazing thing that's kind of like hidden in here in franchising sometimes for prospective owners. So we got a whole bunch of questions for that. But first, Michelle, come on, this is a people business. I always like hearing stories. How did you even give me a little background on Michelle, and how did you get into this crazy world of franchising?
Yeah, I love the story because everybody has a weird way they get into franchising. I answered a job application board through my alumni network at college that Eric Stites, our founder, had posted. Literally, that's it. And every once in a while, I'm coming up on my 20th anniversary, I'll ask him to send me that job posting. Cause I'm like, what intrigued me by it? But so we went to the same college, not at the same time. He started Franchise Business Review, and I was managing an inside sales team for a phone and internet company. So we were a competitor of Verizon. I was traveling and I just wanted to be off the road essentially. So I wanted to come back to Portsmouth or not be on the road, and found his posting. So reached out. The timing was really serendipitous because my dad was just becoming a franchisee at the same exact time. So I think that's what intrigued me. I always loved business. I worked with small businesses, and I knew that I wanted to work with many businesses, not just work on one business. So it kind of filled that need. But it was really interesting because 6 months before that posting, I was like most people in the United States, I correlated franchising with McDonald's and Subway. And that was really the extent of what I knew about it. My dad was a franchise owner of an automotive, I'll say, like a collision repair type of business. I won't name it because I don't think he chose the right franchise system. So it has become just, I wish I'd known then what I know now to help him through that discovery process. But we both didn't know. We both just kind of jumped in, and so glad I took the risk from the big company I was at. And now I've been here 20 years. So absolutely love what we do here in franchising.
20 years is crazy. And even more so that you graduated college, you were looking for a job, and you were 9 at the time. So that's pretty cool. Are we going to plug the alma mater and the Fighting Wildcats?
Absolutely. They are the Wildcats. Nice job. The University of New Hampshire, here in New Hampshire, and my mom actually worked there, so I chose it for the discount tuition for sure, and had a great experience. So I'm so glad. And an even funnier story was my mother was the most risk averse person. And when I told her I was leaving I think I still had a pension. And that was the type of company I was at, to be employee number 1 for this guy that was starting up a business. Her heart broke. Like, I watched it break. And turns out she and Eric knew each other from UNH because my mom worked at the university, and Eric was just always in the building she worked at. And she loves Eric and was a fangirl when she came to the first IFA with me to meet him. And I was a little embarrassed. I was like, Mom, it's my boss. Like, simmer down.
So the moral of that story is she was scared to death for you to leave and take this opportunity, but it's Eric, so you're totally fine.
That's
so
right.
She trusted
That's
Eric,
right.
not so much you. Okay, got it. Thanks, Mom. No, very, very cool. So, and it's also nice, no matter how old we are, we still get treated like children by our parents. So,
yeah. Another really cool full circle here at FBR is when my dad retired from the franchise, sold the franchise, moved on. He actually became a survey caller for us. So he worked for us here. He loved talking to franchise owners. So that also was like, my dad is like my business idol. So to get to have him be part of what we do here was also really, really special.
Oh, that's very cool. Nice. Yeah. And who better to be talking to franchise owners than a former franchise owner?
That's right.
Very cool. So, Franchise Business Review. What the heck is Franchise Business Review? Let's start really simple.
It's a great question. So the idea of Franchise Business Review started when Eric realized the hardest part when he was at a marketing company here in Portsmouth that works with franchises. The hardest part for a candidate or a person looking to buy a franchise to move forward with their decision was validation, was getting enough information or talking to enough people to make them feel comfortable to say yes. So he identified that most people want to know the same things before they buy into a franchise, regardless of the type of franchise. There's just core things people want to know. So why not go out and ask the whole system for that information to at least give some data to candidates to understand what's happening in that franchise system. So that's how it started. It has since evolved into being a huge operations tool for franchise teams, corporate teams, to understand the franchisee's perspective of what they're doing well and what they could do better to support their franchise owners and help them build their businesses and grow their businesses. So we work with the franchisor, we collect the data, they use it internally, but they also use it with candidates, and we celebrate the brands that have really strong validation from their franchisees because we think it's important. That and unit profitability are two of really, really strong indicators that the system will be around for a while and that you will be successful if they are focused on that relationship with their franchisees.
So your company is basically, well, the franchisor is paying you, right? To
Yes.
now basically kind of as this third party, because if the franchisor asks the owners how you're doing, like it's either going to be one extreme or the other, probably. Like they're going to go, oh, no, it's great. Or they're going to just complain about everything, right?
Yep.
The third party comes in and is a freer, I'm sure, for the owners to be able to speak honestly about all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the idea is, first, I always like to tell people, especially if they're looking at the brands on our site, we don't promote any brand anywhere unless they've done this work and they have good scores with the franchisees. I do say we offer a free version of the survey to any franchisor that has at least 10 franchisees open and operating, because we think it's very important to not be pay to play. So a franchisor can do a completely free survey with us. They don't get the data we collect back, but they win an award if they are rated well by their franchise owners, because we think that's really important, because you can tell who's spending money by just where they're advertising, and we want it to be different. So it limits us in what we can do, because we can't help franchisors that want to reach those audiences unless they have strong relationships.
Gotcha. So when you're going through all of this data, and I'm guessing like maybe just keep it kind of simple first before I get into the weeds, is like, how long does that process take? A franchise comes to you, they've got 100 owners, for you to now be able to go collect all of the data.
Yeah. So we have a standard set of questions that we ask of anyone that works with us. And so that's how we're able to give the company their data versus a benchmark, so they understand how they compare to others. It takes usually about 3 to 4 weeks to get the questions answered by the franchisees. Takes the franchisee about 15 minutes, depending on how much they want to put in open text. And the franchise owners get to pick if they want to submit it anonymously or with their name on it. So it's really about the feedback, but it allows candidates, if the franchisor is sharing that data with their candidates, it allows the candidates to get kind of a wider scope of how the franchisees are feeling about the brand. And that allows them to make less calls or spend less time on the phone with each franchisee, because they can dig into the areas that they want to ask more questions about or that they don't feel are answered. So the idea is to alleviate the candidate not being able to connect with people in the system, and also the franchisees are very busy trying to run their own businesses. So taking that time out to make time for candidates is an important part of the brand, but it also can be a time suck. So we're trying to make those connections a little bit easier to get at that information and understand, what do I need to dig in more? How many people do I really need to talk to when I have this wider perspective than I would get just with phone calls?
Gotcha. So you collect all this data, you bring it back to the franchisor, good, average, horrible, wherever it is in there. So then what? Are you like, okay, here, franchisor, here's your data from everything, like, good luck, goodbye? Or there are ways that you're helping them from a strategic standpoint to like continue to improve, make improvements, whatever that might look like?
Yeah. So the one thing that we do, so most people will do the work with us. They use it internally. We go through a results call with them to talk about best practices and ideas for ways to share it with people, but also including their internal franchisee network, and then areas to focus on. We don't do any of the actual work in the solving of the issues that they might have. We feel like there should be kind of a layer between the person telling you the news and the person that fixes the news. It just feels better to us. So we are happy to point them to other supplier partners that we've met through our relationships in franchising, and allow them. We usually try to connect them with 2 or 3 people that can help them in an area. If they don't have the bandwidth or the skill set in-house and need outside help, we'll just recommend people that have done good work with other brands that we work with or that we know through our relationships at the International Franchise Association. So we are really here to help franchisors be better. And I always like when I do interviews, people will ask, well, why don't you publish the worst of list? And I will also say, we don't see that much is really accomplished by the people that just go out and blast franchises that are not doing things well. Our hope is that if they're working with us, they're using that information internally, they're focused and want to turn things around. I think franchising is a small community. I think we all hear of the brands that are in distress. And so our hope is not to put anyone on blast, but to get them to focus on cleaning up their house, getting it in order before they continue trying to sell to the next candidate. So that's what we're really here to do. I wish sometimes that we could share those scary stories that we all hear in the industry, because it is important that people are educated before buying into a brand so they really know what to expect.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the scary part is not having bad results. It's one, not doing anything with it, right?
Yes.
Or like not even having the awareness that maybe we should find out or care, or hey, are our owners happy? I don't care, right? Like, and the weird thing is, doesn't mean somebody couldn't still go in there and have a successful run as a franchise owner. Your margin for error is a little bit less versus a system that is well buttoned up and you've got support coming out of your ears from that standpoint. So, because, and you've seen over the years of doing this, I'm quite sure brands that when you first do this, the results weren't pretty. But then maybe a year, 2 years, 5 years later, all of a sudden now they're like in kind of one of your so-called kind of like top lists of or award winners from the work that they've done. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So my favorite is, so we don't disclose anyone we work with unless they're on our awards list, but there is one leader that will go out and say, I mean, she's in the middle of a complete turnaround. And her first thing when she came into the brand was to get this feedback. She knew it was not going to be good. Yeah. But the franchisees were so neglected or not prioritized with how the past management led. It's a great first step as a new leader to come in and say, how can I show the franchisees that I'm listening? I can ask for feedback, and then I can be transparent and share back with the network what we're hearing and how we prioritize what's going to happen next. I think there's, you mentioned the camp of people that are like, I don't want to know what the franchisees think. That's scary. The second camp is, I know what the franchisees think. I don't need to ask them. And what happens, and we'll see it in feedback, is they have certain franchisees in their ear. So they're getting the most successful franchisees or the most angry franchisees. And that's the only perspective they're getting. They're not looking at the entire network and understanding, how does our model and our team work, regardless of how many stores or locations you own, how many people you're managing, if you are newer in our system or older. So there's just different types of people. If your market's a metro city or if it's really, really rural, that's going to make a difference. So you need that kind of bigger perspective.
Well, it's probably, and I would think in most systems, there's always the loud ones, right? The ones that are doing really well, the ones that are not happy, whether it's their fault or not, right? So unhappy franchisee does not mean it's the franchisor's fault, right? So from that standpoint, but then there's that whole middle ground that's just kind of sitting there quietly, that you need you've got to kind of seek that out, which is what you guys are doing. That maybe there's happy, maybe there's unhappy, maybe there's some like, gosh, I wish we would do more of this. That could be some great nuggets and feedback in there, but you actually have to kind of seek that out. And brands don't always think about that.
Yeah. I mean, we hear all the stories of the wonderful products that are innovated or invented by the franchisees in the markets. And so this is one of those ways that you can get feedback from what's happening in those markets. And I think it's important too. The loudest is not always the rightest, I'll say. I know that's not correct terminology.
Right.
But I think it's also a great way, if you get the entire population participating, to quiet the naysayers that might be really loud. So I think, again, thinking about your whole community, but then also knowing that happy franchisees does not mean they're in charge or the boss. And also unhappy franchisees is not always equal to not making money, which I think a lot of franchisors think like they're making money. They've got to be happy. Yeah. In our data, what we find, the number one correlation when we look at our data and then we look at FDDs and who's growing is actually the question, I trust my franchisor. So it really makes sense. It's above money. And it makes sense if you believe that your franchisor is thinking about your bottom line along with theirs as they grow, you're more likely to accept the changes that they're rolling out to move the brand forward with them. And that's the power of a franchise, is when the franchisees and the corporate team are aligned on how we're going to grow this thing sustainably. That's magic. I mean, it's a model that works for everybody. And that's how you drive a brand forward. Overselling under delivering is a crash and burn model. So I think it's catching up to a lot of brands now, but those that are in it really understand how important that franchisee momentum is to growth.
Yeah, no, and I love the question. So the trust factor, because, and it's funny, I just had a conversation with a client earlier today, and the story that happened a few years ago on a validation call with one of our clients, and they're talking to an owner, was in a senior care brand, and the owner was doing like $10 million a year, right? She was one of the top owners in their system, and our client is talking to them, and the entire time, this owner is just negative about everything, right? And one of the questions we sometimes will have people ask them, like, would you do this all over again?
Yes.
Right? Like, did you regret that decision or whatever? And as soon as our client asked that question, the owner just perked up, like, oh my gosh, this has been the best thing ever.
Yeah, of course.
But she was the like classic type A driver. That's why she was one of the top performers, because she was just out there. Nothing was ever good enough. We got to get better. Until that question, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing I've ever done. I love our people. I love the brand. I love. She turned into fluffy girl all of a sudden, but again, she found what made her happy. The money just so happened to follow. But I think sometimes, and you probably see this all the time, some of the happiest owners aren't top performers, but they're hitting their goals. They really have the love of all the people that they're around.
Yeah. Or the service or product they're selling. Yeah. Yeah. And Tim, I have our data up because I always think that's fun if I can correlate it to what we're talking about. So we ask a question on the survey. We do ask the recommend question, which I'll share, but we ask, if you knew what you know today, would you still invest in the franchise? And only 17% of franchisees, and this is not a small data set. This is based on the last year of surveys. So this is current, and it's over 35,000 responses. Only 17% say probably not or no. So the majority of franchisees would reinvest in their brands. And the recommend question, 14% say unlikely or no. The rest are all on the positive scale side. So I think, again, that's that broader perspective. And that's why we offer the free version of the survey too, is so we can share insights like this with people to help them understand franchising, that you can read the negative stories and the super positive stories online, because that's clickbait. That's what gets you to look at the story.
Right.
But you need to look at all types of franchising and look at big responses and data sets like this to really tell the story of franchising. And this is mostly in the United States, this data that I'm sharing.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think then there's always, for me, it's always kind of the why behind it. Like, well, if this person loves it, they're making a lot of money, therefore I should do it. Well, no, not at all. Or conversely, if they're happy and they wouldn't recommend it, well, why not? And their reason to not do it may be your exact reason to do it, right?
Yeah,
and
that's a great question.
But you're getting kind of the unbiased stuff with everything that you guys are doing. So I'm going to ask you a super loaded question. Maybe at this point after 20 years this isn't the case, but anything still surprise you as your guys are doing these kind of all of the surveys and compiling all of the data? I would guess you've probably seen a little bit of everything at this point, but like anything particular that kind of continues to surprise you when you're getting the results?
So I don't know it's the overall data that I'm looking at. It's more that when I look at the data of an individual company and the scores are not good, and I see them at an expo with a booth, that surprises me and hurts my soul.
Yeah.
So that I just don't, from a candidate investment potential, it scares me. But from a corporate team decision, that they don't understand that validation when your prospects are talking to your franchisees will make or break every single deal you have on the table. So why are you spending all of this money advertising your brand instead of focusing on the things your franchisees need to have a great business? And then they'll be your best cheerleaders and sales team.
Yeah, absolutely. So is your work focused only on franchise owners? Do you ever do any surveys for the staff within the franchisor?
Yes. Yeah. So what we try to do is we want to be the people data in franchising. So we do franchisee satisfaction is what we're most known for. but we also do employee feedback as well. So corporate teams of employees, and also if they have corporate locations, we'll do the employees at their corporate locations as well. And then we also create employee engagement surveys for a brand that their franchisees can opt in to use. Because again, the power of franchising is that you have access to all these business owners that are running the same business as you. So we're trying to help create a benchmark within a brand so that that franchise owner understands how their team is rating them versus the other teams in their brand. So franchising is all about brand standards and protecting that brand. And so part of that is the franchisor wants to give you tools that allow you to take good care of your customers and should be helping you take better care of your teams, because that's what builds a brand. So we do employee feedback for franchisees, for franchisors, and corporate teams and corporate units.
Is there a correlation if the franchisees are skew on a little bit more of the unhappy side of the scale, and if you did the same thing for the corporate employees, would you find they're not as happy as well? Or
that's interesting. We haven't done anything like that on a brand level. It's an interesting question. My guess is that you probably would see a correlation there, because if your franchise owner is kind of in the struggling or unhappy stage, they are most likely not taking great care of their team is most likely. On the corporate team side of feedback and the franchisee, there's a heavy correlation. So franchisors that do both the franchisee and the employee work, we do see a correlation of their internal team's satisfaction and their franchisees, which the franchisee is the customer of your team.
Correct. So
if they're feeling like they're part of the culture and they're taking good care of your franchisees, that's going to impact the feedback they're giving you. So
I think as our clients get towards the end and they're start thinking about going to a meet the team day or something, it's you can, to me, I can tell a lot about a brand by tenure, right?
Yeah.
Is like, oh, this, our most tenured, our brand's been around for 10 years. Our most tenured person's been here for 7 months. Okay. Right. Is that necessarily a red flag? No, but it's certainly yellow. Or there's another, we just had somebody.
Follow-up questions are needed.
Correct. Right. And maybe it's like you mentioned, it's somebody new came in, knew there was a problem, cleaned house and right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell me that.
Right. Keep talking to me. And then there's another, it's a kind of a parent company of a bunch of brands that are, I think it's an amazing group. Like the new person has been there for 5 years type of thing, right? That you can kind of see like, okay. And again, everybody's got to find their comfort zone with that. But there's definitely some good data. And then you're right. Like, that might be there might be a follow-up question or two.
Well, and I think that there's also a lot of value in having people on the executive team that have franchise experience. So if they're new, that's great. It does make me nervous when a full team doesn't have any of that franchise experience and they have business experience, which is great. I think it goes both ways. Right. There's a lot of business moves faster or adapts earlier than franchise systems. So I think you can pull in a lot of great ideas and innovation by having non-franchised executives. But to have people come in and not understand franchising, you can't move franchisees in their business the way you can move corporate managers of locations.
Yep.
And you actually started this conversation out with exactly how I feel, is that if you don't like people, franchising is not for you. It is all about relationships. It is all about collaboration. So I think that can really hurt a brand if they come in and think they can make all these changes with all these great ideas, because if they're not spending time selling their ideas to the franchisees, they're going to fall pretty flat.
Yep. Right. Well, and your question, like, hey, do you trust the franchisor? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, because, there's no franchise experience, or, we sell X and there's nobody in our whole system that's ever done that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, right. It's having that mix. And again, that's why I love what you guys are doing, because there's an awareness from a franchisor standpoint of like, and I'm sure there are ones that are continually on the like, not on the naughty list, they're on the good list, right?
Yeah.
And they keep coming back to do this to make sure that they are staying there. This is a fantastic level of awareness. And again, doesn't mean you should do a brand because of that, but that's certainly a darn good sign that you would at least be well taken care of if it was the right fit.
Or have a voice in the system. So I think that's it too, is that the franchisee-franchisor relationship is so complex, and it will go up and down, and it doesn't correlate to how much money you're making. It's just, what is happening in the system. If it's a good franchisor, they're pushing change, and change is hard for people. So how are they doing that for you? And as a franchisee, how open-minded are you in embracing that change and those new ideas? Because it could make your business better, and you're paying this royalty to this brand, and your assumption is they're staying on top of the trends and what your brand needs and how AI is impacting your business. And that's what you're paying them to do. And then they're going to implement it in your business. So you have to trust that they know what they're doing. Otherwise, you're going to push back on every change, every initial or increase in fee or conversation they try to have with you.
Like you don't have enough going on with Franchise Business Review. I know you've been a huge participant and leader within the IFA, which is the International Franchise Association. You're the past chair of the Women's Franchise Committee, right? And then now in charge of, forgive me, I forget exactly, but for the Supplier Forum. But
so I sit on the Supplier Forum board. Yeah. So I help represent the voice of all suppliers to the IFA. So I try and be an advocate for good suppliers and in our industry.
So, and so many great things going on. And the Women's Franchise Committee is a fantastic thing. And because I like having a happy wife, mine is the regional chair for that down in Tampa. And then I like it because I just crash the parties because, why not? And so, but talk a little bit, I guess, maybe just, and you've been a part of the IFA for basically ever, right? So,
years,
and all of those, and I'm a little newer in this. I mean, Frank Coaches has been an official supplier for the last couple of years, just trying to do more things to get involved. Talk a little bit about how the IFA, kind of what they are there to do to help. And I know you think you and I both agree. I wish there were more people, especially franchise owners, involved in this.
Yes.
Kind of explain why that's a good thing and why people should do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I got involved with the Women's Franchise Committee because I'm very passionate about getting more women into franchising, both in working in the corporate offices and also franchisees. I think it's a great place to make your living, and it's a great opportunity to grow businesses. So that's why I got involved. I also now sit on the Pride Council too, because franchising is equal opportunity for everybody. There's not a better level playing field in business than franchising. So we just need to do a better job of telling our story and being more inclusive. And I think that's really important. So what you're talking about, that Danielle's part of the Women's Franchise Networks, there's over 30 chapters, I think, in the United States now. So you can go onto the IFA's website, which is franchise.org, and you can see these groups. And they also have other regional groups that are focused. And we should also say every WFN event is open to all genders, and anybody is welcome to come to those meetings. It started as a way to connect women within our space, but all of our events, we want everybody to show up for them. But what's special about the WFN events is you can come in even if you're not an IFA member. Sometimes there's a different fee. Sometimes they're virtual. But the one thing that I think franchising hasn't necessarily gotten right yet, and these regional groups can help with that, is there's an opportunity for franchise owners within the same communities to connect with each other and become referral partners. And so that is the reason that more franchisees should be involved. One, the International Franchise Association is heavily involved in all things politics in DC. That is not where my passion lies. But it is important that other people are there advocating for the business model. So they are very focused on that. So if your franchisor is a member of IFA, so something you could ask in your due diligence, if they're a member, your franchisees are automatically members. So you can go to these virtual events, even if you only want to do it for networking reasons, to meet other people that are in a business similar to yours. Just do it. And what is really fantastic about franchise events is you can have two competitors sitting at the same table and they're still sharing best practices and challenges with each other. And you don't see that anywhere else. You would never see, the heads of Google and the heads of Firefox sitting together and talking shop. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
Is Firefox even around anymore?
No, we were just going to let you roll with that for a second. So sure. I was thinking maybe if somebody owned a brewery, would they be sitting with another brewery person, right? So
that's interesting because the answer used to be yes. And now the way that breweries, people just aren't drinking craft beer anymore. My husband and I were just talking about it. I'm like, it's not so friendly between the breweries anymore.
But you're right. In franchising, it's the competition thing comes up so often as we work with people looking at franchise. Oh, so much and like, I always kind of let them know, look, great. Yes, that's something we should think about. And we're going to learn about demographics and all that stuff. But you're going to talk to the franchisor and they're going to almost be a little arrogant about like they're not worried about the competition.
They're
right?
not.
Because at all. And then you start thinking, I always use the example of like, what's across the street from a Walgreens? Oh, it's a CVS, right?
Mm-hmm.
And was the thing years back, Wendy's used to just follow McDonald's, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like,
yeah, that was their real estate plan. Yeah.
It was literally that, right? McDonald's does millions of dollars. Wendy's is like, let's just follow them.
Yeah.
Because they're not worried about the competition because they know that. But it is, and I think from a franchisee standpoint, even if it's you could own a cleaning franchise and here's a, pizza franchise owner right next to you. Well, you're still in the same world. You are still a franchise owner as a secret handshake, right? And maybe, hey, we're going to do a luncheon for our staff. Hey, my buddy at the pizza franchise, why don't we got to eat somewhere? Why not there, right? And I don't think there's nearly enough done to celebrate everybody's successes or, hey, here's a new franchise, like you're initiated into the club. Here's a new franchisee in our local market. Like, again, I'm with you. There's got to be a way to get so many more franchise owners involved, even if they just want to be selfish and go, maybe I can get a referral from somebody.
Exactly. It doesn't, whatever your reason is, just show up like that.
Yes.
That really is it. And it is important as much as I really don't enjoy the politics side of everything, of personal and my business life. But I think that it is important to know what issues are potentially threatening your business and to know what IFA is doing. Because IFA is there fighting for franchising, whether you're a member or not. Yeah. So tuning into what they're saying and the conversations they're having is really, really important. And I think whether you agree with anybody's politics or not, being aware of what's happening is extremely important as a business owner. It just is. Yeah.
No, it was, and Danielle and I went to the advocacy summit last fall. When we're not going, and I think you were there, right? And so,
yes,
being able to go up on the hill, right? And even just being able to say that is like, that was kind of cool. But and it was my first time and Danielle's first time. And we're literally meeting with, in fact, I've got a couple of cool pictures for the Arizona for Mark Kelly, being able to meet him. And then there's a local representative, where I live in Arizona is in the middle of freaking nowhere. So it was the guy in our district and he had a hat from the local high school. And so it was cool to do that and to realize we can think all we want about politics at the White House level, but it's those local people that are in your community that the more you can get whatever side of the aisle, hey, this is franchising. This is our existence. This is a $1 billion industry, basically. Let's not ignore that and be involved and just, if nothing else, you just focus, again, be selfish, focus on, I don't care what you think about this, this, and this, but this is franchising. This is my life. I've got this many employees and there's this many employees in your district. That was eye-opening from my standpoint and we can't go this year, but I know we're going to try to go back next year just because it was eye-opening. And I'm glad we're able to talk about that today. And you've been around it way longer than me, is just getting more and more people involved in that.
Yes.
This is one of those things where there's volume in numbers. And that was kind of the cool thing that one day of being able to go up there. I'm like, no, we're franchising bitches, and mic drop it, right? I'm like, let's go.
Yeah. Pay attention. Pay attention to
really, really cool. And again, it's all of our existences. And so that's not one of the things we want to put our head in the sand, put our hand in the sand. Cause I don't want to have to go get a job. Like that would suck. So,
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
and I'm a really bad employee, so I need franchising to stay around so I can have a business. So
yeah, I enjoy making my money here in franchising. So I'm happy to help protect it for sure.
Indeed. So I also want to protect your time and be respectful. So I'm going to throw one last question at you.
Oh yeah, sure.
Thank you for all of this. So you've been in franchising for 20 years. You've seen the good and the bad and everything in between of all these different brands and all this stuff. So now there's somebody sitting out there listening. This is a pretty popular podcast. We usually have 7 or 8 people that listen to each episode. So I don't want to brag or anything. We almost got to 10 one week, but they're thinking, geez, is this for me? What would be maybe some advice that you would have for anybody kind of wondering if this franchise ownership might be a pathway for them?
Yeah. So I think what I always say is do your homework. I think there's the most important thing is understanding the business model, how you make the money, and then talking to franchise owners. There's nothing better than that. And what we do is to try and help give insight to that, but we are definitely not trying to replace that face-to-face or that phone call that you make to an existing owner.
Yep. Asking
all the questions and really understanding, just having realistic expectations of what you're getting into. So one of the big things that you're going to do as you look at franchises is you're going to look at their franchise disclosure document, honkin' document. If you're working with Tim from FranCoach or anyone that can help you go through it, it is a very large document that has a lot of details in it. There's also a lot of ways you can interpret the information that you're reading, specifically in the item 19, which is a financial representation of any franchisor's choosing, essentially.
Right.
So what I would say is just either working with an attorney, I highly recommend that as well, understanding what those numbers look like, and that it's great that you want to look at what the top performers are doing in the system, but look at what the bottom performers are doing. No one wants to come in and be the bottom performer, but understand what that looks like so that you are not having rose-colored glasses as you make this decision.
Right.
And then the other is just really getting to know the brand and the team that's there, because you're buying into the culture of the brand. That is what's going to sustain this brand and continue it growing. And it's important that you like these people, because you will not always love them, and you will be frustrated. And asking franchise owners, how do you work through challenges, or when you're not aligned and what needs to happen? Do you feel heard? It does not mean that the franchisee is the driver of the business. That's not their role. Your role as a franchise owner is to drive your business in your local market. And your franchisor's role is to protect that brand and continue growing it on a larger scale and making your job easier in your local market, which means you should have input. You're not driving the brand, but it's important that you're part of the conversation, that they're being transparent with who they are and how they see this growing and how you're a part of that. So I think it's a big decision. It's a big investment, but it's also too really, really exciting. And so if you talk to people and you love what that business is doing, I think that take the shot. Right now is a very weird year, and every franchisor I talk to is like, when the economy's bad, franchising does really well. When the economy's good, franchising does really well. This year is like the wild, wild west. Nobody knows. And so you only got one life to live. You should be doing what you love doing. You'll find a way to finance it, making sure that it's within your means, of course. But I think just do the best homework you can before you say yes. But don't get stuck in the what ifs. I mean, this is a weird year, a weird time in our country. So just, I say do it if you've done your homework and it's right for you.
Yep. And I appreciate all of that. And just, it's like, just if there's any curiosity, just learn, right? Because there's
absolutely.
And again, learn from the right places, as much as I tell people to stay the heck off of Google because it's not, or Firefox, whatever their browser of choice might be.
I love that I said Firefox. Like,
so
who competes with Google?
I'm going to make sure that's one of the clips.
Or you could edit it and so you could say Bing. There you go. There's a competitor of Google.
No, I'm leaving Firefox in.
It's okay. I own it. But, I still have a Hotmail account too, as we're in full confession of old people.
As do I. I got rid of the Yahoo one and upgraded to Hotmail. So, yeah. And I trying to explain to my 12-year-old what dial-up was recently. So that was super fun. Just looks at me like I got 3 hits. Like, dude, never mind. Just live your cush existence. So. No, and as people are doing the research, franchisebusinessreview.com.
Yeah, that's it.
Cleverly titled website for the name of the franchise. So franchisebusinessreview.com. Michelle Rowan and her Fighting Wildcats from New Hampshire are on LinkedIn. You can definitely find that as well. But thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute blast chatting with you today.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Indeed. Thank you. I want to again thank Michelle Rowan from Franchise Business Review for joining us today. Just absolutely loved getting to know her, and everything that they do at FBR is just fantastic. They're a huge asset to the franchising industry, and I can't thank her enough for coming on to join us. We hope also that all of these episodes to our loyal podcast listeners provide some valuable information and insight into the amazing possibilities that can be achieved in the world of franchising. When you are ready to learn a little bit more about this, our team at Fran Coach is ready for you. Before that, of course, please even like, subscribe, follow us wherever you're getting our podcast episodes, whatever platform, certainly our social media channels and our YouTube channel. Podcast, our Franchising 360 show is there, plus, other assorted YouTube stuff. When you are ready to learn a little bit more, again, there's never, ever any fee for our service. francoach.net is where you find our team from this podcast. So we are here ready for you. So when you want to learn a little bit more, get properly educated, determine if you should own a franchise. And if so, be sure you're going to find your best one. We are here for you. So reach out today. Let us help you create your better tomorrow. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.